It's Nino Radio. Oh, yeah.
Is anybody out there? Let's go. Live and direct from the oil fields of West Texas. I got oil on my fingernails still, ladies and gentlemen. I've been off for one day. Let's go. Whoa. What up, everybody? We are live. We are on the scene, looking too clean, and hopefully we don't get too mean. God bless everybody watching. It's Nino Radio. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen. I got a special. Oh, hit the clap one more time. Got a special show, y'all. Legendary, epic show. Without further ado, I'm going to get right to it, y'all. Thanks for watching. It's Thursday, November 9th, 7 o'clock. You know where your kids are. Shout out everybody in the chat, y'all. Let us know if you have any questions. Put a Q and then put your question. Mods, let it fly tonight. Okay, again, I told you, well, no restrictions. If they talk bad about me, let it happen. Let it fly. Let's go. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and introduce my special guest. Great channel, great man. I highly respect this person, him and his family, his section, where he's from, everything. Again, without further ado, it is Mike D from California, a.k.a. Chicano Tube. Let's go. Mikey.
Boom. Look what just stepped in the room. Guess what just crept in here? About 1,000 Chicanos just walked in. Right behind me, live on Nino America's channel. Shout out to you, Nino America. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to everyone, the whole team, and to everyone in the comment section. It's going to be a great conversation.
Amen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for joining us. Everybody in the chat, let's go. It's free speech. Say what you want. Let's get it. So let's, without wasting any time, Mikey, I want to give a backstory as to who you are. So if you don't mind, let us know real quick who you are, what you represent here on the channel.
Sure, no problem. So as far as the channel on Chicano Tube, it's Chicanos. It's self-named already, right? And so what am I? First generation Mexican-American. I was born at the end of the corrida run. The end of the corrida. You might be like, what's the corrida? The corrida is this run of agriculture that takes all of the farm workers from Yuma, Arizona, and I'm at the end of the stop. I'm in Selena, California. Basically, Selena, California, where I was born and raised at, is the equator of California. We're right in the middle. We're right exactly in the middle. So the demographic here is about 70% raza, 70% Mexicanos, Chicanos, and me and Nino America. I'm telling you, it's going to be an epic live tonight. Get ready. We're going to answer those questions. And as far as what you stand for, let me just say this real quick also as well. There's core values that are immovable. That means they're cemented in stone. They're not going anywhere. You can't do nothing against them because they're fortified. And what are they? On this channel right here, Chicano Tube, with all the raza that's behind me, is Dios, God, familia, family, y cultura, culture. And that's what we push.
Let's go. And before I ask you more questions, I got one question real quick. What does being rich mean to you?
Oh man, you know what being rich means to me is when I walk through the door of my home, and I see my family right there. Right, I have a family running up. And it's not like this, like Little House on the Prairie, picture perfect all the time. We know the times that we live in. Everyone has different schedules, and I wish we could all get down and eat dinner and talk about our days. But to me, that's being rich, is opening the door. Not just that, and even the perros, cabrón, the dogs.
Right.
The wifey got a couple golden doodles that look like baby lions, and them and the whole family. That to me is being rich, because material things don't move me. Money doesn't move me. You know what I mean? The Bible even says it. How much shall a man giveth for his soul?
Man,
that ain't me.
Totally agree, Mikey. Great answer. And it's kind of crazy, right? Once you do get the money, you kind of realize it really ain't. I mean, what is it really worth? Let's be honest. But let's be honest. Men need to work.
Let's be honest. Once you make the money, once the money's in the bank, then the true character comes out. Because if you're already a scumbag POS before you got money, all money's going to make you as more of a scumbag POS. And you know, we don't play that, especially in California.
Let's go. Hey, Mikey, but let's be honest. I met some greedy rich people and some greedy poor people. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Just like you said, your character really shows either way. So with that, let's get to it. So you are from what city? Go ahead.
Yeah, born and raised proudly to say, in Salinas, California, which is considered the United Farm Workers headquarters of California, if you didn't know. So primarily is Raza, Salinas, California. Fields all around, going from the North County to the South County. Salinas being the biggest city, it's what you would consider in the middle of the whole county, because there they have the biggest hospitals and healthcare and stuff like that. So I grew up in the Alisal district, and over there I compare it to East Los Angeles because it's gorgeous, cabrón. It's beautiful. It's murals on every bridge. Murals everywhere, antojitos, all the stuff that if you were to cross the border, cabron, that they'd have for sale right there crossing and we'll get to the border. Hold on. We'll get to the border. Not right now, but we'll get to the border, gente. If you were to cross the border, all those little antojitos are in East Salinas selling huaraches and oranges. Wow. What I see is just hardworking people that just don't try to make an excuse for nothing and go out there and hustle and get it.
What was it like in Salinas in the 80s and the 90s?
But let me finish this last thought real quick. But unfortunately, a lot of the raza just is persuaded too easy. It's just is the TV got some brainwashed and they're voting a certain way just because they see a Mexican on the last name and don't even know what that dude or him or her's values are. And so easily persuaded and doesn't really speak up too much. But here on Chicano Tube, we're the generation that got some backbone for the raza. We're the generation that got a backbone for the gente. We're going to say what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And we're going to use common sense. And we're not going to tell you to just believe and eat everything that you see at face value. We're going to have you critical think. But go ahead. I forgot your question.
Okay. But that's a good point, though, bro, because I would even say some of our people, they're ignorant, bro. Ignorant minorities. I feel like they're really easily deceived. I don't know if that's just a cultural thing or what, but that's how I look at it sometimes. But we'll get to that too, the politics and all that, all that stuff in a minute, y'all. But again, what I was saying is, how was it like growing up in Salinas, bro? And I was particularly talking about the 80s and the 90s. Go ahead.
Yeah, so hit that like again. Don't forget to subscribe to my brother from another mother right here, Nino. I got all the Chicanos with me right here. Boom, 1,000 of us just pulled up to Nino America's channel. They're just hanging around in the backgrounds right there. They're on the, in the lounges and on the lounge chairs doing what they need to do, right? Is to be proud. You know what I mean? Is to have values. Is to have principles. But anyways, how was it growing up? So I'm an 80s baby. And so throughout the 80s, I don't have too many memories of the 80s. It was just a blur. I guess a lot of people can remember their upbringing a lot more vividly. But you had asked me particularly about the 90s because that was the decade that I became a teenager. And so in the 90s, Salinas, California, way, if you didn't know, has a big gang problem, way. Has a huge gang problem. I mean, cabrón, Salinas, California is considered the pinche stronghold of Northern California. Some people joke around and call it headquarters.
I've heard that.
They don't call it that just because it's a myth or anything like that. It's true. They see the gang problem and they see these people coming from Salinas because we have two institutions right here. We have CTF Solidarity in Salinas Valley, and right there was birth the mob and other things that I don't really particularly talk about. But I'm saying Salinas is known for all of that. So around the 90s, I was around a lot of serious cats. I was around a lot of serious individuals. So my upbringing was a little bit different. I didn't choose it. It just was growing up in the neighborhood. You can say the neighborhood, called me.
Chose you.
Because, the neighbor, just because the neighborhood knows who's theirs, who's been stepping on its soil for decades and decades. The neighborhood don't care about the internet or what people say or the internet trying to validate or make a point or I'm tough or say I'm good in my hood or I'm upstanding. The neighborhood don't care about that. And as a matter of fact, that's actually loser shit. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real with the gente. Why is it loser shit? Because the people that talk about I'm good and I'm upstanding and I'm righteous and you're talking about a gang thing. That's what you're talking about? Well, let me know how much being good and upstanding and sticking your chest out and being proud about, going to jail and all that. How much does that deposit in your bank every month? How much distribution does that give you on your investment quarterly? You don't get shit from all of that. But anyways, the reason I say that, Nino, is because, there's a lot of tough guys on YouTube that tell stories that me having to go to the juvenile hall have to constantly remind the youngsters that that's loser shit.
Yep.
Yeah, don't worry about that story. You don't want that. That's the wrong lie. That's you picking up where you left off. The 90s were crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. If you want me to give it one word, I'll give it to you like this. The 90s were, well, you know what? I'll give you an example. The movie Menace to Society. That was the whole 90s. It seemed like a lot of stuff was happening in slow motion. A lot of stuff was a movie. I'm not going to get too graphic, but a lot of stuff was happening around the neighborhoods. And there was just, it was a lot to take in. It was a lot to take in. There was a lot of alpha males out on the street. And, it wasn't, now that's me in retrospect and hindsight. To me, growing up there, it was no thing because that's all I knew right there. And so the local boys know the local boys.
Yeah.
Salinas was made up primarily of families. So
Wow.
throughout the 90s, I ended up going to middle school. And when I was in middle school, I caught a case already. I caught a shooting case, and they downplayed it to a shooting into an inhabited dwelling. They ended up sending me over to a continuation school in middle school. And because we couldn't even go to the adult continuation school, we were too young. They didn't know where to stick 13 and 14-year-olds, and I'm talking about 93 and 94. So I went to a continuation school real young, and it's like the movies, like the ones that you see, continuation schools. Everyone got khakis. Everyone is a gangster. Everybody. There was not one. There might have been a stoner. There might have been a skater or something like that. That was the outlier. But I'm talking about the rest of the 20 or 30 in there are all gang related.
Wow.
And that's how it was. So unfortunately, I gave about 20 years, to that, which is getting shot, which is getting packed out multiple times. Of course, walking the line, getting jumped in initiation. That's something you just got to do in California as well. Because the people that don't know, if you ever catch time over here in California, you're going to have to join something. It's crazy. California it's a whole different thing when it comes to that. Now, the reason I don't talk too much about that, because you just heard me say that to each his own. You could tell your story how you want on YouTube. You have the copyright to your story, and say it with your chest. And matter of fact, if it's a good story, then sell it too. I'm not hating on people that do what they do. To me, I would still be stuck 3 decades ago if I acted the same, still got off the same, still react and did the same shit. So anyways, let me fast forward. I ended up going to a camp. I went to a camp 2 times. And so I went 6 months total to high school. I only went 6 months, 2 months as a freshman, 2 months as a sophomore. I missed my whole junior year. I missed the whole junior year. I was in camp at the time. And I ended up going a second time, and I got released right before, like a month and a half before my 18th birthday, which is in 99, because I'm born at 81. I'm 42. In January 14th of 81. And I ended up going to a camp, getting released from a camp right before my 18th birthday. And as soon as I turned 18, I didn't even skip a beat. I was already in front of a judge, and he was already sending me to prison for a 90-day observation.
Well, Mikey, what did you do to get sent to prison? Hold on, let me reset something real quick. Hold on. You do.
That's right. Let me go in the comment section as well, man. Shout out to Diego, Jay, Nino's producer, Christy, of course, a hardworking team. Shout out to Christy, Catholic conservative Chicano.
That's the homie.
In the casa. Yeah, let's talk about. We'll get to that. We'll get to all that stuff. But anyways, how did it feel? What?
No. What got you sent to prison, bro?
Oh, man, it wasn't nothing big. It was a firearm. But it was a possession. It was just having it. So, Pops was a gun collector. And so he had a couple suitcases. He really liked arms, man. He liked the rare ones that had like oyster shell, clam shell handles. And he kind of liked those, right? Like those kind of rare finds and stuff like that. So you can kind of say it was a lot of enabling going on also in the household, because Pops was going away too. Damn. So since with Pops was going away, he went away at least 2 or 3 times. Mom's kind of felt a little bit of a guilt complex and wouldn't really discipline me because I was starting to go away too. So now she had Pops going away, and now I'm going away. And so it was a possession. It was a possession of a firearm, but or was it the 2 DUIs? It was something like that, right? But I had gotten one of those already as a juvenile, and then 2 of those as an adult. So how did it feel? Well, I mean, complete waste of time. But if you want to go through like the graphic depictions of the stuff that people like to hear, you hit the county jail in Salinas, and it is a military zone. The tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife. I went to the R&R. I hit the tank, and when I hit the tank, I was only by myself individually, 18 years old, and I didn't go into the main tank. I was tripping. I was like, "Why I'm not? I don't know nothing."
Mike, but hold on, Mikey. Mikey, I'm sorry to cut you off, brother, but I want to clarify this. You were part of a gang or a neighborhood before you went in, correct?
Absolutely. That happened really, really young. I was groomed in. I was just,
Okay.
it's almost by geographic location that I grew up in an area. And back in the 80s, everyone kind of just wore sweaters, windbreakers. They wore it. They didn't hide it. So you were able to see. And I remember one time my bike got stolen and I cried like a baby, man. I was supposed to be like 7, 8 years old. I was right there in the neighborhood. They stole my bike. And I remember one of the guys brought it back, and rest in peace because he passed away. He brought it back. It was a knock on the door. My dad said it was like a Saturday, Sunday morning. Someone with the beanie, with the rubber band and the black ones they used to wear with a black sweater. And I knew who it was. And I told him, open the door. I already know who it is. And I'm a little kid. He brought my bike back. And I knew that clique, that neighborhood, because everyone wore it on sweaters and windbreakers. That's the one. That those are going to be my buddies. And then later on, when shit hit the fan, you're already identified. Even if you want to try to switch ships, which that's forbidden, but you would already be labeled anyways in the gang world. So there ain't no jumping ships or anything like that. So what did I have to do is just walk the line. You have to walk a line. That means there's a line of cats on the left side. There's a line of cats on the right side. And you better stay up throughout the whole line and make it all the way through and fight all the way through to see if you had any kind of heart. So Salinas was a little bit different. I've heard other people on YouTube say otherwise. Oh, we never did that because we're a family. Hey, everyone was in different pockets of a huge city.
Mike, let me ask you this. I mean, I want to go back to you going to Hidden County, your first, seeing how everything works with the politics. And then we're just going to touch on this real quick, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't even talk about that. Because he's right. It's me going to prison, coming out, you're a loser. You got caught, something happened. You're not a freaking hero, And in West Texas, when our people come out, even my stepdad, my little brother, I don't even want to be around them, to be honest, because they're usually on drugs. They get back on drugs, and I don't want them around my kids. So I totally agree. Prison, all that, who cares? But I'm just getting the background here. Would you say that gangs back then were different than gangs today?
I would say it's the same neighborhoods.
Okay.
The same neighborhoods are around. But now let's just keep it real. Now it's always the new generation and the youngsters that run everything. They run everything. Who's going to be there, who's still going to be doing their sacrificing, who's still going to be doing time and giving their lives. They're the ones that absolutely run everything that's right now. There ain't no 60, 70, 80-year-old guys still hanging out. They're not doing anything. They're not really down in the neighborhood anymore. Who's down in the neighborhood is the youngsters. Have things changed? A lot of things changed because nowadays people don't want to just get into a fair fight. If this is guy shit. I mean, guys just, we have a difference. We're going to settle it with our hands and let's just settle it with our hands. Now the youngsters don't really give anyone a fair one nowadays. Now they don't really even ask questions. So a lot of things has gone by the wayside. Respect, number one, has gone by the wayside. And that's something that still I hold dear and how I communicate with all my clients first. But I don't think about respect the way I would think about it in the gang world. And first of all, let me just be 100% real with you. You know what I mean? I no longer am in that or of that world, period. I respect it. I'm still in the neighborhood every day, but now I'm doing the opposite. Now I'm doing the positive. And that's where I believe we're the ones, the people that are doing similar to what I'm doing are going to be able to reach the next generation even more. We're the ones that could do the most damage because we're the ones that the youngsters listen to. And I stand on it just like you stand on it, Nino. Nothing to be proud of, nothing to even stick your chest out. 100% loser shit, waste of time completely. But it just happens to be a lot of people's typical story growing up in California. And in the 90s, it was a war zone. It was a war. Just to get to school was a war zone. And I'm not talking about rival enemies. I'm talking about with your own friends.
What do you mean?
I'm not talking about, well, this is what I mean. You know how they have red and blue, two sides of the color bar. in LA, it's the same thing. Every other street is a blue team.
But they fight amongst each
Every
other, right?
Yes, exactly. And so in Selena's, it's the opposite color, but it's the same thing, same concept. Every other street. I wish back then it was just an op problem, and all I had to do was look for someone the opposite of the color bar. Hell no, I had to look out for my own. And if he was either head ups or so there was a lot of street stuff happening because it was also a good time. I don't want to make it seem like it was hard. People were playing tackle football. You know, the music was the best generation of music. My favorite generation of music is the 90s. The music was off the chain. It's funny, you know what I mean? We're catching cases and was playing on the radio in juvenile hall as R&B.
Right?
I'm going to the juvenile hall for 60, 90 days, and I go over there and ready or not. I'll get... That's right, my boy. But anyways, it's a huge difference to the youngsters. The first thing I would do if I had a magic wand and wave it was to institute respect back. It's not that serious to the youngsters. Wow. You want to elevate it because estos pinches teléfonos también, they pump you up. And I don't know what you're drinking on. It makes you feel like Superman. But these youngsters, I think they're throwing their lives away for nothing or to make a video or to be tough or clout.
Okay. Mikey, let's get back to you walking into county, because if nobody else knows this, I like to touch on this a little bit for my people can kind of understand, of course, where the guest is coming from, but how it works in Cali. Because to be honest, bro, in Cali, it's like a whole different animal. I never seen prison politics play so much into the world as far as family, friends, and even it shows out on YouTube. Like you can't even make videos with certain people because then they're going to be whatever. I've seen it happen time and time again. And then the Jenny 6'9", I want to get your thoughts on that with, fighting with Lady Pinks and all this other stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? But I'm just saying, like, when does the line separate between business, prison politics, gangs? Again, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I want people to understand that there's a real political system and an element to life in California, especially from prison to the streets, that some guys just get thrown into this. They don't even know. They walk into the county, get handed a knife by somebody with a big old brocha and says, hey, you got to go hit this dude. And the kid's like, what? I mean, you even get in there with your same rivals and you have to ride against, another clique. But again, I don't want to touch too much on that. It's all over YouTube. But you walk into county, what happens?
Okay. Chaos. That's a chaotic. Damn, the way you laid it out right now, you hit the nail on the head. It's a complete chaotic environment. Shit that ends up on like a Netflix series. And now that you think back at it, you're like, damn, it was exactly like a movie. I'm 18 years old. I'm sitting inside a single tank in the county jail. I'm in R&R. I look over, I see like a tank that has 6 or 8 people, a couple drunk paisas and other people, the general looking people, right? Negros, whites, and Mexicans or whatever, like a regular tank. And I'm like, why am I over here in this pinchy tank? You know what I mean? And so I'm not knowing, they're processing people, going through the motions. At the end of a couple hours, I would say at least 4 hours, 3 doors get popped. It was me, another buddy, from Northside, and then another buddy from Soledad. Well, buddies I can say now, I didn't know them then. And I know why they were doing that. There's a classification process. Basically, you're going to go in there, and the tattoos are pretty much going to tell the story right off the top. There's no guessing when you have tattoos.
Okay.
That just is what it is. And that's one of the main reasons that right now I'm on a Kat Von D cover-up mission where, they're just blacking stuff out. And if you follow me, then you know that already.
Mikey, I'm going to say that's crazy. Right? Mikey, that's crazy, bro. When I see you putting just nothing but black on your arm, I mean, that means something pretty serious in my opinion. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Continue with your story. I'm sorry.
That's right. Two-Face Entertainment's in the Casa Fred Castillo after 7. R&B. We're just here R&B, huh? Anyways.
What's up, Yvonne? God bless everybody.
When I clean up. Yeah, it's a crazy story. So I go in there. I'm 18 years old. I didn't even know that at 18 years old, they were going to put me. Now, there's people that I could reach out to corroborate this if I wanted to. I don't feel a need to. But I get put, us 3, because we're in the same gang, which is not to say it's the same color bar, but basically we're what they call active, norteños, and so they put us all in red jumpsuits and we get taken to K-Pod. Now, I want to say that it was home base and headquarters. Now, I know some people would argue and say, no, it's always the pod with the lockdown because they have to have you single-celled and they're fucking with your mail. They're reading. They really got their eyes on you. So the best way they have their eyes on you is on single cell tanks, single cell pods, but single celled up. I don't know, because when I went to K-Pod there, I knew that there was made people in there. So if they only had the made people inside the tank in the pod, then why was there made people inside K-Pod? Now, I'm not going to say no names. I'm going in there. I'm 18 years old. I haven't skipped a beat, man. I've been in camp for 2 years before I hit the county. And when I get there and I find out about the militarized structure that they got, that these crazy workouts that you better endure and make it through, and
burpees and everything, right?
I was doing these workouts for like countless burpees for 2 hours. I was doing these workouts, and I caught the eye of a couple of the homies that were like, "Hey, you don't even fucking skip a beat. Like, you wouldn't even flinch." I said, "Bro, I just came from a camp.
So,
I just did 2 years."
So you're already getting trained up for this day, correct? For this time.
I was getting trained up for this time, right?
Mikey, I got to interject. Mikey, I got to interject. How sad, right? A young kid, a brown kid, and I'm not trying to play the racial crap, but 18, bro. Look at our kids, bro. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna get on here, y'all. My son's 18, 19. He's working in the oil field at a warehouse. Got him a good job. He don't have a care in the world. This kind of stuff. My daughter. She's in the house. Like, I'm just so grateful and glad that you hear these kind of stories. But it makes you sad that people go through this kind of stuff, y'all. But the best part about it, that's why I want y'all to hear this, is that we get to show our kids something better. Because I'm pretty sure, Mikey, your kids are nothing like this, right? They're not walking into prison. I'm just saying, at 18, I know what I was doing was wild and crazy. I'm glad that my kids, it's nothing like that. And that's what real men should strive for, to give their kids a better life, for they could live better than them. Because I've seen some parents, they're like, they're friends with their kids and they smoke, drink with them. I don't want my kids to do none of that stuff. I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to ever see the inside of a jail cell. So I just think it's important, Mikey, that you do share this, and that we do feel a certain way for our kids that makes us continue being good parents, and not their friends, but their parents, and have rules because we care about them. I don't want my son to be in prison at 18, like my brother, and like almost, my friends and family, they were dead in prison or on drugs. And my kids are nothing like that, and I'm grateful for that. So go ahead, Mike. I just want to interject that because it really hit me, bro, because I'm passionate about being a good father, and I know you are too. So continue, bro. You're in there, 18. Come on with it.
Yeah. Shout out to OG, Triple OG, who runs the YouTube yard. I just saw him in the comment section. But shout out to him. And I gotta give a correction. No, that wasn't a possession of a firearm case. That was like a little it was like a little dope case. And so that's what I remembered, because the firearm came at 19. I just remembered. So at 18, I went in for like a little dope case, little bindle, little bolsita.
Hey, Mikey, real quick. I want to shout out Triple OG because he's one of the first ones I seen on YouTube with the prison video saying, man, prison is for losers. Like, these guys want to come just talk about prison, but let's be honest, that is nothing to brag about. So shout out Triple OG for, always holding it down and calling a spade a spade. So I give him props, but continue, Mikey. Sorry for cutting you off, brother. Go ahead.
No, never that. Absolutely.
Let's go.
He's done a lot. He's done a lot of cleaning up for the people.
We'll talk about that in a minute, y'all. The prison genre on YouTube is crazy. That's why we're kind of touching on this a little bit, but go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it was a little bolsita case, and so I'm in there, and that wasn't the 90-day observation. The second time was a 90. So I guess they got to get me in the system. This is why I understood later on what happened. So I'm in there. I'm not even in there like 60, 65 days, something like that. All of a sudden, they call my name and they tell me to get my shit, roll up. And I was like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, when they call my name and tell me to roll up, I'm in K-Pod. I'm in 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. I'm in 16, upper left. When they tell me to roll up, all of a sudden, the homies come up to me and like, hey, what's going on? And I told them the real. I said, man, I don't know. And they say, well, you got to find out. You know what I mean? They'll let you know. And then they called me through the speaker, and I went up to the speaker, and they were like, hey, you're going, he says, get ready. You're transpacking to CYA. That's what they told me through the little speaker. And I'm like, CYA, they got it twisted. CYA basically is the kids' prison. You know what I mean? And back in the 90s, you could, you can catch a body and do like 7 and or to life, or you could actually max out until you're like 25 inside the youth authority. But I missed that train. Because the last time I got sent to camp, they gave me 9 years YA suspension. So I didn't catch that bus, but I had 9 hanging over my head. But I knew I was already going to be 18. I'm like, I'm going to probably miss that bus because I'm going to turn 18 because they committed me a second time to camp, right? Which is a 1-year commitment. Anyways, They tell me to roll up. I go back and they tell me CYA. I said, and I went back and I talked to Mikey. And I told him, and I said, who had the pod? And I told him, I said, hey, I said, I think I'm going back to camp. There, it ain't no YA because I didn't come from YA. They're picking me up from camp, and that's exactly what happened. So I ended up just doing what I did. Went through some salutations, and that was it. And I had some good rapport with the one that had the keys. And unfortunately, trip on this, I mean, this is very, very sad to say. Unfortunately, the guy that had the keys, that was the biggest boss, whatever you want to call it, right? He ended up on the streets. And now I just see him walking around, unfortunately, strung out on drugs. Drugs wiped away a lot of them, a lot of people, man. It's just a vicious cycle of they get into the drugs, they get back in the system, they get healthy, they blow up like ramen soups, and then they get back out, and then they just get on the drugs again. And it's this cycle that I'm telling the people, we got to watch our kids and protect them as much as possible from the drugs.
Mike, and I'm gonna be honest, that's like my stepdad. He was influential in my life, and he was somewhat of a hero of mine when I was young and in and out of prison. Big and bad. I thought so highly of him, and now he's just a shadow of his own self, and always going back in and out. And I ain't seen him in years, and got hooked on the dope, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's these people that you think are the most toughest, baddest heroes. For some kids, thank God some of our kids have better role models, but that's who I looked up to as my stepdad, that was basically a pintero, somebody that just was in and out of prison. And now, like you said, man, they're just kind of lost. And I say that with all due respect. Anyways, so Mikey, let's continue on and go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So anyways, they ended up transferring me back to camp. I'm 18. I found out that all they wanted to do was get me back in there, process me out, and say you're an adult probation problem, and report to this guy. And that's what I did. They ended up putting me 18 on probation now. Of course, they gave me drug court, so I had to start going to NA meetings and all this other shit. And they gave me a breathalyzer. They did a lot of stuff that I didn't give a shit about. I remember actually with the breathalyzer, there was the car I had the breathalyzer in. I'm 18, 19, right around this time. I sold it. And I remember one time on the gun case that they told me, well, where's the breathalyzer at? I said, it's in the car. They ended up taking me to another court day, and they said, well, where's the car? I went to misdemeanor court. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be in felony arraignment. Why am I in misdemeanor court? And so they took me to misdemeanor court. Where's the breathalyzer at? I said, it's in the car. Where's the car? I sold it. Whatever they were going to give me, I didn't care. They were going to give me 60, 90 days, hit me with restitution. I'm over here facing a firearm. I'm facing that case. And then I turned 19, and then I end up catching the bus. And then for the first time, I find out, I step inside the California Department of Correction and take it to that level.
Mikey, how much time did you do?
Well, on that first one was just a 90-day observation wing. So they only gave me a 90-day observation. So basically, I was just there to test the waters. They were there again. It's a setup. It's bait. They're just setting me up. They're like, this cat right here, we already know he's a failure. So we're just going to send him for a 90-day observation. So that's the sentence. I didn't even know what that was. I'm standing at 19 years old. I'm standing next to a lawyer, and I'm asking him, I'm like, what is that? When the judge hits the gavel and says, you're going to the Department of Corrections 90-day observation. I've heard of time. I've heard of 90 days, but I don't know what the hell that commitment was. I'm trying to understand it. I look down, and he tells me, basically, you're going to go. They're going to give you a CDC number. You keep messing up. You keep fucking up. Then they already got you. So you're 1 foot in already. And it is what it is. Then they call me at 4:30 in the morning. A couple days later, I get a bag. I'm on the Grey Goose.
And Mikey, what happens next?
Well, I pull up. I end up finding out that we got to go to Bakersfield. I remember Pops used to go to like San Quentin or Tracy. And I was always thinking that I didn't know nothing, right? I'm only 19. I was just thinking either one day, if that did happen, it would probably be San Quentin or Tracy. And it wasn't. It was actually Delano was in Bakersfield, which is Kern County. I get over there. It's so damn hot. It's like 100 and something degrees. I'm like, damn, I can't even breathe in this heat. There ain't no air. We don't go deep at all. We go in a little van. There ain't that many of us. I ended up finding out, as far as the gang numbers were concerned, we were outnumbered big time. Where I was always used to being the one in the group that's outnumbering the other group. Now I'm in the small fish guppy group. Wow. In a big shark tank, way outnumbered. They take us in a van. We're the last ones. I pull up right there, right? So we see all these buses, and all these buses mostly are from Southern California. I see 2 Los Angeles sheriff's buses. I see a Riverside County bus. San Bernardino, I think another bus. And man, we had to sit inside that van for at least 2.5 hours. And then finally they take 4 of us in there, which was actually only 3. There was only 3 of us that were from the same color, from the same gang that they had classified on paper as the same gang, which is Northerners. That's how they had us on paper. And then someone else, I can't remember, I think it was a Gabacho. The other guy was a Gabacho, cool dude, but whatever. We get in there, and as soon as I walk in there, the whole reception center is like a DMV. If you ever seen a DMV, kind of looks like a rotunda. It's just in a circle with just desks everywhere from the middle facing out. So it's like a DMV. So one of the most embarrassing things you're ever going to do is walk around. I hear echo. One of the most embarrassing things you're ever going to do is walk around that thing butt naked, butt ass naked, walking around this thing, going to station, whatever you're doing, and then they stick you in the tank. But as you're walking by these cages that have 80 or 100 people, and you know those are your enemies. I knew it. There was 2 tanks of at least 100 people each tank that I knew that if those doors cracked, it was on like Donkey Kong. And I was kind of cocky back then. I come up being raised by a lot of alpha males. I had butterflies from just being there for the first time in my life, but never did I have a butterfly about another person. I was kinda like what either Biggie said, "Imagine me being scared of another man that breathes the same air that I breathe
Right.
or bleeds the same blood that I bleed." But now there's 200-300 of them,
Oh,
and there's like 3 or 4 of us.
Mikey, let me reset this audio. Guys, we're live, y'all, man. I really didn't even want to go down this path, y'all, but this is too good. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Mike doesn't talk about this stuff. The haters can go post this later and whatever, but y'all, this is my channel. Mikey told me free reign. He said, Nino, whatever you want to talk about, he told me straight up, y'all, he's on my show. So this guy's giving some stuff that I've never heard you talk about this, Mike. This is pretty deep, pretty interesting. We're gonna get to the politics. We're gonna get to the other stuff, y'all. But Mikey, go ahead and continue, bro. This is pretty good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Get inside the tank, still butt ass naked. You're starting to learn about, all the squatting and the coughing. They want to see everything. Let me just say that.
Mikey,
Okay,
how
'cause
does that feel, bro, in front of another man? I'm not trying to be weird, but real quick point. How does that feel for anybody watching, a kid or something that is on a wrong route? What would you tell somebody? How does it feel? The degrading feeling. Go ahead. I can only imagine. Well, I mean, I've been in jail too a couple times, and I hate it. But I'll let you talk about it because that's in the big house. Go ahead.
That experience, you have to break through that wall for the first time at 18 when you hit the county jail, because for the first time I was never used to being around grown ass men. Grown ass man, shit, we all had peach fuzz on our faces. Well, I mean, some of us had mustaches already full. I had a half, but that the county jail is the first time that you're like, damn, I'm around a lot of old ass men or people with beard. Well, more of the holding tanks, right? Everyone in the gang pod had to have the highest level of hygiene and had to act in the highest level of professionalism, because I seen people laying in pools of blood for small, minuscule little shit. Or I learned real fast. I got put up on game that I'm glad I'm more like the quiet one to be able to see and soak it in. But to be honest with you, Nino, back in the 90s, we were told. We were groomed. You can call it grooming, programming.
Wow.
Now that we know, right, in hindsight, we were programmed to know the youth authority is coming and the Department of Corrections, the Pinta, is coming. When Sir Dino came out with Pinta Bound, we were all Pinta Bound. Every single one of us, right? That came out like in 97. So I'm in that tank, and I never thought like, oh, okay, there's 200-300 motherfuckers, but, I'm nervous. No, none of that. I'm more like, this is new. This place is new. I'm looking. I could throw a fair one with anyone, or even 10, 20 motherfuckers if for some reason I get set up. I always thought that in my head. I said, it don't matter. But I know it's not like that. I know only if it cracks like that, it's because the guard's fucked up. get inside the tank, get classified. Now, the classification is pretty easy because, again, the tattoos are going to tell the whole story. The tattoos are going to tell the whole story. So the classification process is pretty easy. I get stuck in a building. I think it was in B, Bravo. I think it was 5. And then they only had one building and then maybe like another tier on 6. But that was it. The rest A, the rest of B, C, there was a one facility. I forget which one was the 1 yard. Was all ops, all enemies. And then you start learning about, there's a lot of drama. It seems like cats that have been in there for a long, long time, Nino, try to manipulate and cause drama because they ain't got nothing else to do, because they're stretched out for years. And here I am only with 90 days to do, or so I thought. But they stuck me out there among other wolves. And I'm going to call it that because, again, these are very serious individuals. These are guys that ain't really smiling, always conspiring, always looking for the negative. And guess what they're doing? They're looking to take someone out. And that's what happened again and again and again. And I'm like, damn. I learned the whole concept of we're our own worst enemies.
Wow.
Right there.
That's
and
a
if
good
you're
point.
if you're not up on game, when you go inside these Department of Corrections, if you ain't got you find out it's about race. Nino, it's 100% about race. Nino coming to California and stepping inside the Department of Correction is gonna have to pick a side. Nino ain't gonna say I'm all good or this. You're gonna find out.
White.
You're gonna be like, you're gonna have to pick a side and pick it now.
Mikey, I always wonder about that. I asked the prison channels one time; they didn't want to even hear me. But what's up with the Christians, bro? What do the Christians do if you're in prison?
Man, I would say they give it to God and have God help them, protect them, and guide them every step of the way, because that is a very, very tricky situation.
Wow.
Especially if you're somebody. That means, the whole thing is structured where they got people that are going to be in charge of the pods, the tiers, who has the keys. So I was blessed that someone that had some status when I was there in Delano at that time on that yard, which I think was B, was from Selena's, and he had knew me. He had remembered me. And it's funny, I don't want to get into this big old long story, but he called me something that only like 3 or 4 people ever call me. It was a funny nickname, Cyclone. It was a funny little nickname they gave to me one time where I did something. I had to clear a pack. That's all I'm going to say. I had to clear a pack. And he called me Little Cyclone. He remembers when another homie gave me that name, and he called me that, but I had already switched my nickname.
Okay.
That one right there, I just kind of left. Like I left 3-4 people calling me that for a little bit, but I had already switched my nickname after that. So I had to go ahead and let him know that respectfully. But I'm glad that he was there, and I told him I got 90 and I'm out. I'm going back to the county.
Okay.
And it is what it is. He laced me up. And again, I'm one of these observers. See, as long as you are more of an observer and less you're going to be all right.
Okay.
Mind your business. Keep your nose out of other people's business and don't do what you're not supposed to do. When I seen people in the county constant laying in pools of blood,
damn,
he got a ride from homeboy's old lady, or he did this or he did that, and some of it was allegedly. I mean, now that I think about it, I think people were pushing their own personal agendas at some points, but there's so many politics that it's going to be for the youngsters that are going up there. I don't know what it is now. I don't know what's happening now, but back then there were so many serious characters out there that you had to be a high caliber individual just to make it through. But back then there was no one talking about PC. There was none of that. I mean, I don't know. That must be like something newer.
Yeah.
Even the term active, I'd never heard. First time I heard the word active, a youngster told me, he goes, I'm active over here in Selena's, right? I'm active. And it was very, very early 2000s, I think. Maybe mid 2000s or something. I'm active. And you know what my response was? Oh, if you're active, then what are you doing on the streets? because they ain't really with the business then, because the
Yeah,
business is obviously you're gonna end up,
in there
you know.
or
Oh, for
dead.
sure, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
If you're
California thing.
yeah, if you're active, you're going to be active enough to where you're deactivated somehow, right? In putting pin or in the
I'm
ground.
just saying, if you're active, you know you got the blocks of ops over there. You just clear
Oh,
the whole pack, or you do what you're gonna do. What you waiting for right now? What? Oh, because you're halfway active and you got a little bit of a conscience inside of you, and something inside of you is telling you, "Damn, don't catch that life case. Go to work." And so, yeah, that's the shit you. That's the side of you you need to be listening to, youngsters. That's the brain. That's
totally
the
agree.
side that's telling you, "I need to get away from this as far as possible," because people that really grew up in the hood are trying to get the hell out of the hood, and they ain't trying to stay around or tell these stories of growing up and how it was for them, because it's nothing to glorify. And I'm glad that my kids are more academic
Yeah,
bookworms and are in
yeah.
colleges and doing
Wow.
everything they're doing, because one of my biggest fears was having to relive that through one of my kids.
And I even say I'm glad, like my son, he's like a little nerd. You know, he's a video gamer, and some of my family makes fun of him here and there. But I don't want gangster kids. You know, I had enough gangsterism in my life with my all my family, friends, and everything. I'm done. I'm done with that. It's nothing to glorify. Real quick, hold on, real quick. Hey, Mikey, let's wind it down on your tale, because I want to ask you another question. Basically,
Okay.
going to the future, but finish if you don't mind.
Okay, and then we'll switch topics. You
Yeah,
want me to
then
go
it's
to
also,
the biggest sentence and the longest time and all
yeah,
that shit?
just knock it out to where you finally your feet hit the ground as a free
Okay.
man. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Well, my feet hit the ground as a free man about 2008. So, yeah, from the millennium, from a 90-day observation through 2008. Okay, let's just say all of those years were institutions. We don't got to go case by case or year by year. Let's just fast forward that.
Wow.
I just want to make it home. I'm in a facility where we're locked down 6, 7, 8, 9 months at a time. And then every time they open the doors, all they do is clear out canteen and whack the next person. I'm going through that for years. I just want to make it home at this point.
From
All of a
90
sudden, I
days?
find
From 90 days?
no, no, no. I'm saying from the 90 days all the way to 2008, I didn't skip a beat.
Okay.
But you want me to give you the short version because we want
Yeah.
to get to more substantial
Yes.
shit to talk about.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Because obviously, me telling my life story is going to be hours and hours and
Hell
hours.
yeah.
But I'll fast forward from the 90 days in 2000 to 2008, where I had just got done doing 7 sentences 7. So, anyways,
Wow.
I wanted to get the hell out of there. Now, I want to make a change in my life, and here I am. And I come back out. The world is different. Everything is different. It's 2008, but I knew that I don't want to go looking around for the pot. The hood's always going to be there.
Yep.
The hoods and the hood activities are always going to be there. The dope, whatever you want to call it, all of that is always going to be there. But now, for the first time in my life, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something. I'm coming back, and the family. I got to pick the family up now. So what I ended up doing was I ended up working. On top of working, I ended up enrolling also in a Bible seminary.
Okay, Mikey, before you continue, I wanted to ask you this, and I'm glad you're going this way.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
point? Because you're getting there, so I respectfully interject here. What was the point? Because somebody asked me this when I was getting my haircut today. My best friend's youngster out here in the community. You know, I try to give him good game, but he asked me, and I'm going to ask you, when was the point when it clicked in your mind, bro, that you wanted to change, that you were tired of that, and you had to change? When was that point? Then it clicked. When it clicked, go ahead.
Yeah, that happened about 2 years before I came home. It was about 2 years before I came home. I was in B Yard. I was in Salinas Valley, and I remember I had a dream that night. Again, I'm already baptized. I was baptized before I even caught that commitment. Before I caught that term, I was already baptized. So the Lord was already working on my heart. He was already working on my heart, where it burned to pick up a bottle or do what we did with, grab a cuete, all that. Like, the Holy Ghost was already inside of me. So
Amen.
about 2 years before, 2 years before, a psalm came to my mind, and it was in a dream, and it said Psalm 12:2. And in that psalm, I read it. It said, with double lips and with double hearts do they praise me. And I felt, you know what? That's the Lord talking directly to me. And I just started telling the Lord in my head, well, if I make it home out of here, because it's not promised, I could tell you story about youngsters my age getting slid knife after knife and throwing their lives away, which at any moment I said could be me. but you're writing letters to your family like, "I'm going home. We only got 24 months left or 36 months or 40 months," but it's not promised. So at that point, I said, "If I just make it out of this place, I've already been in hell. I've already been in hell. There's nothing worse, and my back's already been against the wall harder than it's ever been in my damn life because now the gang banging is on the highest level. This ain't no street gang banging. This is where the wolves and only the strong survive. And if they smell weakness, you're getting whacked." Of course, it's not like that. Of course, there's an order and people know what I mean. But it was like that. And so I said, I don't got nothing else to accomplish.
Wow.
I gave the streets everything. On top of bullets, on top of everything else, being there every day, doing the most. I think I had about 21 arrests at that point in my life, and a lot of them were petty violations, associations, and little 60, 90 dayers. But at that point, I said, if I just make it home, there's nothing I can't overcome. Nothing. No person I could be around that's gonna intimidate me. Nothing. I've already been in hell, and I made it home, thankfully, and here we are.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Mikey. I know you hardly ever talk about this stuff. Y'all are getting some firsthand knowledge here because this is not what he talks about. Now, you make it home, and I guess you change your life, correct?
For sure. You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that I did was, I was baptized already, and as soon as I came home, that pastor had his grips on me.
Man,
that
let's
pastor
go.
didn't want to let me go. He was like, "You ain't slipping no more.
Let's go.
There's no more years. I got you. You come into the church every single day." And I turned into a praying man on my
Wow.
knees. It ended up motivating me to enroll in Rhema. I enrolled in Rhema Bible Training Center, Brother Kenneth Hagin's ministry in Broken Arrow,
wow.
Oklahoma. It took about 2 years to two and a half years to get the seminary, the theology, whatever. I ended up turning into a minister where now I could counsel couples.
Wow.
And so so I was with the church for like 3-4 years, and then I got into boxing. And then when I got into boxing, all of a sudden that turned into a passion of mine where I'm just helping youngsters out. And then me at 30 years old, I was getting into amateur boxing and still fight. And I started fighting myself. I found out you could fight for like another 5 years. And I was like, shit, well, let me start fighting. But again, all these things happen. One of the biggest tests that happened, though, was with me and our oldest son, Mikey. He was diagnosed with autism. He was diagnosed with full-blown on the spectrum autism. Our son Mikey, or to the point where the doctors went to see him because he was almost like 2 years old and he still hadn't walked or talked. And so the doctors diagnosed him with full-blown autism. This is like 2 years after I came home. And they just said, basically, you know what, your son has autism. We're just going to send you a check. The rest of his life, he's going to go to special ed, and that's a wrap. And I remember I just got done, you know what I mean, with the Bible seminary classes. And I told that doctor respectfully, that's not going to happen. I appreciate you. And I know you're a professional. I know you know what your craft is, but my son is healed.
Amen.
And my son is not going to do that. And he looked at me like I was negligent.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. But guess what happened? I started hitting my knees and praying for my son. And he did a complete 180 where now he's in public school and normal. And yes, the wifey was into herbal, natural medicines.
Wow.
The wifey's been into herbal, natural medications and medicines for years now. For years. She doesn't want a pill. She doesn't want a doctor.
Amen.
She wants natural remedies.
Amen.
And our son completely did the 180 on that. That was the biggest hurdle. On top of, I couldn't pass a background check for 2 years when I came home because I just couldn't pass a background check because back then the felony had to be 7 years old and I was getting temp jobs. So really, really struggling financially for 2 years when I came home to where almost could have went back.
Wow.
Almost could have just easily gave up and said, you know what? Sitting in a closet is a whole lot easier than responsibilities.
Right.
And now I see how that's half-ass backward thinking. And the real tough guy is not the one sticking his chest out because he has the most tattoos or thinks he's the toughest guy that can do whatever. But the real tough guy is the one that wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning and is going to provide for
Let's
his
go.
family and come back so that they can have a stable upbringing, as opposed to us that didn't have a stable upbringing.
And it's funny you say that, Mike, because some people like they get locked up, or they like going to prison because, let's be honest, they get a meal, they get free room and board. I mean, we're paying for it or whatever, how it works. But good point. The real tough job is, doing what we do, doing what real men do, providing for the families. So, Mikey, continue on, bro. So that happens. I want to ask you a question, and it kind of leads into your story here. Let me make sure this is reset correctly. Because I see.
Don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and hit the share on Nino America's channel. If anyone's coming over, if I got 1,000 Chicanos behind me that I brought over, cabron, to the broadcast, all of them, I need them to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Nino America right here. He's going to make you think. It's something substantial. It's a great conversation. It's not we did it, or it's shit that's going to elevate you and what you need to hear, and thought-provoking. That's what we need. Go ahead.
And I can't wait, brother. Hopefully we can do more of these. But I wanted to get the foundation laid of as far as who you are. Let me ask you this, because you talk about your wife, and we've seen you online. She went viral. Y'all are awesome Trumpers or conservatives, should I say. Let me ask you this. What is the importance of a wife?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. He that has a wife has found favor. Let me just quote what the scripture says right there.
Amen.
So this is God's plan. This is it. God's plan is man and wife. They're going to reproduce, and it's the model of the family on earth. That's just God's plan. I'm not knocking anyone. It just is what it is. Si te cae mal, pues te cae mal. We're in a country where we can say exactly what we want to say and not to have those pinchy communist repercussions of anything to it. So it's a beautiful thing. And God put inside of them the shit that we don't got as men. We don't got that level of tenderness. That level of tenderness, the wanting, the details, the planning, the wanting to know, how to schedule what's happening in the future, stability, certainty, security. That's the wife. That's what they bring to the table. Por eso decimos medio naranja, and another media naranja makes a whole naranja. Half an orange makes a whole orange. There's no way that a man can come full circle without a wife. I just believe it. That's just me right there. Why? Because you don't have those tendencies, man. Stop it already. You have certain chromosomes, man. You're wired a certain way. You're not going to feel what the woman feels. So he that has a wife has favor. And my wife that I have has been completely responsible for the change that happened inside of me. I needed someone the opposite me. I didn't need a home girl. You know what I mean? Egging me on it. And you probably don't want that neither, because, she grew up in the life. Next thing you know, she's in the middle of the night because someone got at her and she's making a move on you. It's just, I don't know. That sounds crazy, but knock on wood. But no, you know what? Yeah, my wife, man. Okay. Shout out to my wife. She went viral. We had a birthday party for her. She came out with Uncle Trump dancing. You shared it. It went viral. You said Trumpers. I look at it like, yes, I'm conservative. And yes, this is in nature what the raza is. It's conservative. Yeah. And in nature, we have core values that you can't move, that are unshakable, that you can't tell the raza, take God out of it, because we're not going to go with that. You can't tell the raza, like you had posted something on abortion. And I know it's a sensitive topic, but the raza that I know, you can't convince them to kill all the babies.
Amen.
Don't do that. If my mom, or when my mom was alive and she heard that, she couldn't even believe that was even happening. My mom's from the 30s. She's an older generation. My mom was like, give it to me.
Right? Right.
My mom was like,
yeah, you're right.
My mother, who professed to be Catholic, but never really went to church ever, other than communion and baptism for me. Those are the only times she went to church ever. But even she had the Mexican rude common sense to say, that's not us as a people anyways, where we should be like los niños. ¿Qué? No, give it to me.
Hell yeah.
That's the end thing. Quick. But anyways.
Okay, let's continue because we're almost at the hour.
Why? Hit that like, gente. Hit that subscribe right here on Nino America, where it gets cracking.
Okay, we're
It's
gonna.
cracking tonight. It's a legendary live.
Hey, we're gonna get into it. How come the Raza don't know how to act, Mikey? Recently,
Talk to me. Break that down.
recently, Lady Pinks and them got at Jenny 6ix9ine, and I just see it, bro. Like, is it jealousy? Is it our own people? Crabs in a bucket mentality. I always talk about this. What do you think about that situation, bro? And it comes out that she's saying that they jumped her, bro. And your thoughts? Because these are some of the biggest in the game for the Hispanics, Mexicans, whatever you want to call them. They make that kind of music. They got a big following. They're popping on IG. She has 2 million followers. Jenny, Lady Pinks, I don't know how many she has, but they're staples in the music game. But it's like, it goes like back to the streets. Like the North and South, will they ever, unite? Which I kind of think they never will. But what do you think about Jenny 6ix9ine in that situation, real quick, Mikey? I think it goes into a deeper situation, unless you think different. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. So I think a lot about that situation, man. There's a lot of elements at play right there. First of all, there's a gang element. So anytime there's a gang element, someone could feel a certain type of way, and it is what it is. I just hope as grown-ass men or women, they would give people a fair one and don't snake somebody or don't try to 3-on-1, and because that has no honor. But again, that's that world right there. There's a lot of shit going on. As far as the North and South, real quick, before I forget, something crossed my mind. The North and South that you're talking about, that you see a lot on YouTube, and of course, he's talking about particularly in California.
Yes.
With the North and the South, right? That divisions are there. I believe that's going away on YouTube.
What?
I believe that YouTube is becoming a place where, as long as you're not a scumbag, as long as you're not a POS, as long as you're not a weirdo, on YouTube, we've already outgrown that mentally. I mean, I fuck with people that 20 years ago or 30 years ago, hell no. You know what I mean? So that's just that evolution that's happening. And I'm here to try to spearhead it. I'm trying to spearhead that movement and let the people know what we need to do is elevate from one day to the next and not go ass backward into the past. But the Jenny 6ix9ine situation is crazy. Go ahead.
Well, I want to interject now, and I'm going to talk about the infamous situation that we have with, I'm going to name them because you said that I could talk about what I want. American Cholo, last night, Mikey. Let me reset the audio. Mikey, last night, this is like one of the first lives I sat through the whole live. I know Triple OG was in there. We were all up in there last night. Mikey, you did a video, and I seen you got some backlash, bro, because you took it down. Some people are kind of mad you took it down, but you did a video responding to American Cholo. Now, he had some words to say about, I guess, the prison genre. You took offense to something he said. Can you elaborate on that situation, what you said, and why you went ahead and ended up taking down the video? Because, man, that was one of the most powerful lives I've seen from a fellow content creator. I think you are on the verge of, I see a whole different situation from the prison stuff that happened, brother, to I just see different channels popping up. So I see a progression in a good way, even with a little bit of the trash that OG Triple OG has to take out here and there. I see something happening on YouTube. It came from the prison stuff and more hood stuff to more now channels like yours are on the verge of just groundbreaking content creation. What is the deal with American Cholo, that video, and the whole situation? Break it down, Mikey.
Sure. Let me go ahead and break that down, man. So don't forget to hit that like. I'm going to give an exclusive right here. In regards to American Cholo. So I ended up doing a video because I responded because my name was mentioned, particularly inside of an audio track. What I didn't know later is that he ended up taking it down. I didn't know that. I got people on IG that just sent me this over. And I shout out to everyone on IG that looks out for your boy. I don't know anytime I get mentioned. And I'm human, you guys. Ni modo. That I don't like the cheese, man, or stuff like that. I'm human. I'd have to be out of this pinchy human body with flesh and blood and bones for me not to say, oh, I don't like to hear the cheese, man. So people send it over to me. And this audio track that they send it over to me, he's particularly said Mr. Tube, Mr. Chicano, and Mr. Righteous. But I get the whole backstory. There's a backstory to it, where I have taken shots at him and he's taking shots back. And I believe the shots that he's taken back were because particular pendejos that I used to associate myself with in the past. In the past, I jumped on YouTube and would see, someone cracking jokes or funny and then taking shots or something like that. And I was gullible, I guess, and early in my YouTube career, and I ended up taking shots against American Cholo. I ended up shooting direct shots at him. And, we've talked on the phone before. He'll admit it. We've talked on the phone before when I was hosting a fight. I was throwing a fight that fell through, that the pendejo that pulled out of the contract owes me 10 grand. He doesn't owe me 10 grand. He owns the raza 10 grand. And if that pendejo wants any kind of shred of honor, not all of it, some of it, integrity, not all of it, some of it restored, he'd pay the people what he owes the people. But anyways, American Cholo lumps me up in a group of people that I don't belong to. American Cholo has put me in a group of people that are doing their thing as grown men or women, but I'm not in any group. I'm not in any clique. I wanted to get that straight. I did a live yesterday. I put the thumbnail out there. There was a lot of people. The executive producer told me there was a lot of people inside the live that wanted to hear what I got to say. And the reason I deleted that live was I didn't feel the need for me to respond over his audio track to perpetuate on YouTube and people to keep playing it and playing it. And now it's bringing up old shit again and again. But I made it clear. I said, American Cholo, if I trespassed, my bad. Even if I'm in the right, I don't give a shit. I don't have time for this. I'm on YouTube. PSA, public service announcement. I'm on YouTube to level the people up. If I can unite the raza, I know it seems like an impossible feat, but someone has to plant the flag for it. And if it's got to be me, it's going to be me. One, level the people up. Two, I'm in here to kick back and have a good time. And your boy's gotten day one subscribers because they rock and they vibe with me. And all the different kind of flavors and sazon that the Chicano style brings. They know that I bring that. And number 3 now, I just launched the content creator series of fighting. I just launched that with the very first white, CCSOF number 1, Tony, stories written by a current prisoner versus EBK. And part of the video that I did on American Cholo yesterday was not just to apologize if I did anything and keep moving on as grown-ass man. This is nothing that I need to do. And this is nothing that that I feel that he's telling me to do or anything like that. I'm doing this from my conscience because I'm always trying to improve as a human being. I'm coming on here to also promote these fights. And so that's me being the highest level of professional. And so you got to have professionalism in all you do. So I don't got time for the games is what I'm telling the people. You want me to refresh?
Yeah.
In and out, or what do you want me to do?
I don't know. It's go in and out. Good.
Let me refresh. Reload. I'm gonna hit reload.
Boom. And here we are with Mikey, y'all. Chicano Tube live. Man, this is an awesome live. Thanks to everybody in the chat, y'all. We're gonna wind it down here in a minute. Don't go away because you don't need no America. I'm gonna pry it out of the homie over here, y'all. Certain subjects and situations, y'all. So let's get to it. Add him back in here. What up? Shout out to chat. Everybody I wrenched up, we thank you for joining us here. And we salute you. Christy in the building, everybody. The hardest white girl I know, Christy, the producer. We're going to get him right back in here, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that technical difficulties, but that's how it happens sometimes. Go to the chat. What up? We're here just chilling, y'all. You like that mustache? I told Mikey, man, keep doing that mustache dash right there. That's what's up. Hey, got the wrench. Yeah, I like that. I like that brocha they call it, I guess, right? It's a Cali thing. It's Jay that said that he never thought he'd see somebody like Mikey and a Texan like me on the live. Well, hey, that's how it is. God is good. I didn't intentionally plan on telling Mikey's story like that, y'all, but I think it's good to do so. Again, you never really hear this because he doesn't talk about that at all, really at all. But for someone that might be checking out the content, y'all, the youngsters, I dealt with somebody today, like I said, a young man, and I'm gonna be honest. The reason why I am respected here in my section also is because and not to glorify this at all, but basically I held my own. I was an upstanding citizen in my area, and now I go back with my people, and there's a respect level. I'm nothing special, but they respect me, and I give them respect, and I try to give them game, or I try to give them good advice. I always give the kids good advice. I start like preaching at a certain moment, because if I'm here around someone that's impressionable, I want to leave a good impression. Amen. So we got Mikey coming back in here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get him back on here. Mikey, you there?
That's right. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. So continue, Mikey.
That's right. So with American Cholo in that situation, it's buried. It's in the past. There's no more ill will or nothing. There never was. It was just all internet BS. We're a grown-ass man, almost 50 years old, wanting to get into internet stuff. We should be able to show the youngsters that that's not what it's about. That's one thing. On top of that, we should be able to mend bridges, because guess what's happening, man? Next year, we're coming up on an election year. Next year is when it's important for the raza to get together. And I got to keep it real. American Cholo has a lot of influence on the online community. And so what we need is unity of that community. And that's exactly what I'm bringing for the table. So if it ain't leveling the people up, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm not in it anymore. If I have any fighter inside my content creator series of fighting, their gang affiliations, I don't know. I don't care. Their beefs, who they have, I don't know. I don't care. Anyone that I have on my show, Chicano Tube, if you got beef with them, well, that's your beef with them. That's not my beef with them. And I'm just letting people know my name is Bennett. I'm not in it. Don't include Mikey. I'm not in any clique. I'm in one clique, and that's called the Raza. And where we hang out is Chicano Street, Cuba.
Mikey, let me ask you this question. And I really, I don't think people, I kind of wish you would have let the live up, Mikey, because I saw an elevation last night that was, I mean, amazing. And just your train of thought. That's why I stayed watching your channel, because I'm not going to say I believe you were like a prison channel at the beginning, but you're more lumped in with them. I don't know if that's fair enough to say here, but that's what I kind of looked at you as. But you're one of the guys that I kept watching, because I knew there was something different about you, bro. You weren't just dwelling on that stuff. So I just want to salute you, brother, for your train of thought and the way that you just, instead of going, you could have been causing drama with AC, you know, but instead it's like you're taking the higher road. I'm going to ask you this now, Mikey. I asked you yesterday, but you weren't really, you know, you were on a good one. So you weren't really dealing with the chat, but would you ever work with American Cholo?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there was any benefit to the people, absolutely. Not benefit to me. Not does it benefit him. And you know what? If it's up to him and his mentality is, because again, if he's gonna keep talking about politics and gangs, then I can't fuck with it. I can't fuck with people that are on the fence, cabron. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. At least everyone that I meet in my life is 2 feet in, whatever there is, and there's no smoke screens and there's no filter.
Right.
But what I work with them, hell yeah, for the greater good. Just like in politics, we gotta accomplish what we gotta accomplish and get the people together. I'm not perfect. I fall into the same things. Every once in a while, we joke around, the YouTube yarda and this and that, and that's fine. And that's all fine and dandy, and that's all fun and games, you know. But when it gets into, hey, I have beef with him, beef with that, you know what? Don't hold none of that on your chest. You got to let that go. You're gonna be a bitter person, getting more and more bitter if I just got beef with people. Now, I know that that's what sells. I know positivity doesn't sell. I know people tune into the cheese man. Just like you were talking about Jenny 6ix9ine. I seen Lucky on Hood Stocks, you know, Pinchy Lucky. And he was talking about the drama's good. and like it's 6 in the morning getting some Winchell's donuts. Pinchy Lucky from Hood Stocks is like, the drama's good this morning. Yeah, I'm interested too in knowing. But do I want to be in it? And are you going to drag me into it? Hell no. Keep that 1,000 miles away from Mikey. I'm not into cliques. I'm not into running with him or nothing. I run with the raza and the gente, and they're all coming behind me. And if the American Cholo, if he wants the raza and the gente to come with me over on his podcast, more than glad to. Because, you know, it's funny that we see other people and we don't even know who they are. We just see them behind a screen. You don't even know if you like the person or not. You haven't even met the person. Me and him could vibe and get along if he wants. If he doesn't, that's totally up to him. That's his business and it's not mine. I'm not going to meddle with it. But is it more beneficial? Me, him, Tony A. You know, all of these people, the Raza channel. Imagine if the Raza saw all of us getting together on one platform, on one video.
Wow.
And not even talking about the drama, not even talking. The comments will go crazy. I'll tell you that. The comments will explode and blow up. And the comments are the Wild West. I call it YouTube Landia. That's what I've come to call YouTube. YouTube
Yeah.
Landia. OG Triple OG. Yeah, I am gonna go live. I am gonna go live. I call it YouTube Landia. It's the Wild West, but but unity of YouTube channels is very, very much possible.
Okay. And with that, we're going to wind it down here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get to this, though, real quick.
Come on now.
Have we lost the skill of communication? Because me and you, things we don't agree with. I would even say the Israel situation, and I've seen a lot of people fight about Israel and Palestine. They don't care about us, right? We're not on their radar. They have other things to worry about, let's be honest. But people in America are fighting over that. Now, I don't want to touch on that right now. We don't have any time for that, Mike, but I'm going to ask you this, though. Do you feel like we lost the skill of communicating with others without being wrapped in our emotions and just hating each other for having a different train of thought? Have you seen that lately, that you can't even agree to disagree with people no more? Can you touch on that, Mikey?
I definitely have seen, when it comes to the internet gaslight people into thinking that these things are happening on every single street corner in every single 50 states of this great country. And that's an absolute lie. We consume more media now than we've ever consumed in our lives. We're lost in it. We just watch it, we consume it, and this AI thing is scary shit too. I think that has a greater thing, which is New World Order thing. We ain't gonna get into that. We don't got the time to get into that. But this AI thing of being connected all the damn time. People wish they could be connected 24/7, right? They wish in their mind they could be seeing their whatever, their Snapchat, or in their mind they can close their eyes with AI. And I think it'll get to that where you're posting shit. But it's a very, very scary thing. But I see that the internet it's crazy, bro. They just had trials like in June or July. I mean, not trials. They just had hearings on UFOs, letting the US government letting people know we've been studying these UFOs and we've had aircrafts for decades. Why do you think they dropped the thing about the aliens and the UFOs at this moment? Because we're so consumed with media at this moment. You weren't even going to shrug your shoulders when the government told you there's UFOs. We know there's other planets out there. And why do we give it to you now? Because you were just going to keep scrolling by anyways.
Wow.
That's why they did that now. So as far as the phones and the internet's concerned, yeah, it's a problem. It's very problematic for a lot of people because if they don't have self-identity, they'll look to the internet for it. If we're not raising our children correctly, we wonder why they come back with 10 different color hair, looking like unicorns. And it's because we don't teach them identity. And here on my channel and in unison with my wife, we make a great team. We teach our children, we fly two flags. We're somos Chicanos, somos Americanos y somos Mexicanos. And we teach them Spanish and we teach them culture. We teach them raza. That's all I grew up with, was around the raza in Salinas, California. It's a beautiful thing. And I believe Chicano Tube is going to be getting the raza channels together, going in the right direction more than ever. But as far as miscommunication, people aren't open-minded anymore. They want to argue. You got Nino America over here, right? He bleeds red, white, and blue. That's what Nino bleeds. He's going to give it to you from the angle and perspective of this great free country.
Amen.
That 100% I would never turn my back on. It's the history is the history and all of it is what it is. But here on Chicano Tube, we got that unique identity of having dos patrias and two flags. And that's how we fly. But anyways.
Okay. I don't know how much time you got left. I don't want to be respectful of your time. You're going to do a live. Let me ask you this one real quick, bro. I heard my boy Pocho say this, and I got love for Pocho. I think he got kind of a bad rap. I don't know if you know Pocho One podcast. He was with the food community and all that. But he said something that made me think, what are your thoughts on the word food community, food gone wild, the food culture? Do you think it is a detriment to the raza? Because even Pocho said that basically, I don't know if he said that he's like the enemy of the food culture, or he stands against the food culture. Do you think there's some validity in that statement? What are your thoughts on the food culture? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting because I thought that at the beginning myself. I'm like, wait a second, high socks, the biscuit shoes we used to wear, or the Cortez, and that's a estilo, right? And I liked it. I mean, it was easy to dress like that because you'd wear the same thing every year. You don't have to have a big old closet of clothes, just 6 sets of this and 6 sets of that. As far as the food, I look at that as entertainment, 100%. That this food, the food community, LA icon. He when my wife went viral for dancing with Uncle Trump, he posted it up there, and then in the end, this food, and I said the same thing. So I look at it as entertainment. Now,
Okay.
some people can be like, well, wait a second, we should eliminate every stereotype, and they're calling women tortas, and they're calling this and that, and Tyga made a video and all this other stuff, and we can talk about all of that on an individual basis, but a lot of it is really, really petty shit
Wow.
that we're spinning our wheels over the most pettiest. You called her a torta. Let's make a 3-hour live about that. Are you serious? You know what I mean? Torta, the bread, torta, or yeah, come on now. So some of this stuff is really, really petty that it's just content. We're content creators, so we
Yeah.
got to talk about something. So we're gonna put content out there for the people. But as far as the food community goes, I ain't got nothing against them. Now I know Pocho. Now I know that did happen in the situation with Pocho. He was there at its inception, and he's not there. And well, I'm not going to comment on how he feels because I don't know. I'm not in his head on how he feels. But I look at I look at little Mr. E as comical. I look at Food Community as a page that's trying to do what they do to the point where they're charging for, now they're charging for videos like Haters World, or I think Adam 22 does charging. They're just trying to make a bag. That's fine. Make a bag and run with it. Is it holding the raza back or anything? Then I have to be fair and say that I also think we shouldn't dress our kids in Charlie Browns
Wow.
and put hairnets on them with hairspray and think that's cool. If I wanted to be fair and just say this is something bad for our culture, I look at it as entertaining.
Okay. One, Mikey. Man,
That's right. Nino
awesome.
America, hit
Let's go.
that like, hit that subscribe.
Hour and 20.
Rolling deep with 1,000 Chicanos over here. I hope this interview was a good one, cabron. And then I'm going to switch over. You're going to see me live on Chicano Tube real soon, cabron.
Okay, Mikey, last question. They want to know this one.
Hey, hit me.
Who do you plan on voting for? Trump, Biden, or other? Go ahead.
I can't go with Biden. I'd be a complete pendejo if I don't tell the raza. You know what I've been telling the raza? Do you want $7, $8 bacon again for 3-4 more years? Do you want $6, $7, $8 gas? Do you want $5, $6, $7 milk? We have to take ourselves out of our emotions. People that deal with emotions, I can't talk to. I can't have rational conversations with people that just because they gangbang politics. They got it blasted on the chest. Republican, Democrat. I'm conservative by nature because I know the raza and Chicanos are conservative by nature, but I'm not riding with Biden. Especially with 8-Ball Hunter. It's embarrassing. There's a lot of money that has been funneled. How could these politicians have $30, $40 million mansions, 3 or 4 of them off a 6-figure income? You have to be chueco. You have to sell yourself. You're going to go out sideways. I think Biden is one of the most crooked presidents we've ever had. I think they control the media. So all the deals that they're doing to get richer in these 4 years are not going to come to light unless they do special investigations. And so if it was between Biden and Uncle Trump, I want Uncle Trump. Bring me Uncle Trump all day long, man. He'll be back in Atlantic City hosting mega boxing fights. And guess what? You'll have more money in your pockets. He'll cut the taxes again, slice them in half. He'll undo all kinds of shit that's needed. And there's a huge border crisis down there where there's just a lot. And this is a sensitive topic, you guys. A lot of people are coming over now. I know you say deporta abuelita. Okay, cabron. Well, I got to talk about that real quick, okay? Because You ain't gonna say that. Let me say this: there ain't no more abuelitas in the
No, you're
detention
right.
centers. These are all different
Mikey,
countries
that's
of
a good
different
point.
people that we don't even know who's coming across the border until they end up shooting and killing or
Man.
pillaging or doing something worse to someone that was here. So the generation of our parents and
Yeah.
grandparents and the abuelita, that's done already.
No,
Those
you're
people
right.
have crossed the border already. What's happening is what's coming over is a lot of fentanyl, a lot of pills, a lot of guns, and a lot of people, and they don't want to secure it. And they're lying through their teeth when they say it's secure. They'll go to these Senate hearings and ask the defense, whoever, secretary, is the border secure? And he's lying through his teeth by saying the border is secure. It is not secure.
Amen.
That's a sensitive, another delicate topic. But as far as who I'm voting for, I got to see who the candidates are, and I'm going to vote in the best for the people. Who's the best person for the people? Not the name, not even particularly the color. As far as the Democrat, Republican, I don't know who's going to be best for the people. But I know he's flying Uncle Trump, right?
Let's go.
He's going to fly and I got to give it to Nino America, you guys. He was one of the first ones that caught bullets. Nino America was one of the front liners when wearing a red hat and speaking what's on your chest was very unpopular. To go out there and say, you guys don't see it? The economy's going to go to shit if we get this guy everything that you came. If I was Nino America, I'd be telling people, I told you so.
Yep. And
for
Mikey,
like last 3 years.
Mikey, yeah, hold on real quick. I'm going to be honest. That's what my wife said. My wife said, when I first got my first MAGA hat, she was so nervous when we went out the first time. But now it's like, I got 50 Trump hats. They ain't never taken one. But, you're right about that. And also about the Abuelita statement. Let's be honest. There's grown men from other foreign nations, able-bodied, military-looking age men that are coming across the border. My wife say it all the time. That day of Mexicans coming over to have a better life, it's over already. We got people, we don't know who they are. And let's be honest, I don't even think it's really Mexicans crossing the border for the majority part of it. It's different nations, different country. There's Asians, Muslims. I mean, there's all kinds of people. We don't know what or who they are. How are we going to know? Over 1,000 a day, Mikey. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we just thank y'all for being on the live, awesome live. Mikey, let's do it again. Mikey, I'm going to give you the mic right now. Final words, Mikey, Chicano Tube. God bless you and your wife and your family. Final words. Go ahead, Mike.
That's right. You know what? I want to thank you again for the invitation to come over here. And anyone that came over here from Chicano Street and Chicano Tube, man, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like. We need to be tuned into channels that's going to be thought-provoking and make you think. And so gracias to you. Gracias to your executive producer or your moderators that also do a wonderful job. You got a great media team. Nino America's going to blow up. I mean, you can't put in that much effort and have God behind you and not. That's the formula right there. God, faith, and hard work is always going to bring you a hit. So gracias, cabron, for bringing me on one more time. And to all my gente, all the Chicanos that are in here, man, hit that like and hit that subscribe. Thank you again for having me one more time. This is the beginning. We'll be back, of course, more, and then even getting closer to the elections, because now once the candidates get chosen, let's break that down. I'm interested in having that next summer, cabron, but I highly appreciate you, eh?
Hey, I appreciate it, Mike. With all due respect, thank you. I feel like you are a pillar in the YouTube community. And there goes my camera went out. But Mikey, I'll tell you right now, I think you can unite. Right. You can unite the people. And I appreciate you coming on. God bless everybody watching. We're out of here. You're an American. You're a patriot. You got grit. Act like it. We're out.
And we're out.